Some of the activities that I think I do automatically is like when I come into a class, I always greet students, say hello, and try to cheer them up from the beginning. And for example, when I do warm-ups, I think since I've been doing it for a while already, I think they come automatically. Most of the activities we do in class, when you've been teaching for a while, sometimes you do it automatically. There's some activities that might need you to think about it before you do it, but most of the time, I think warm-ups, since you already know the topic, you can just come in and start setting the context about the topic you want the students uh, to practice. For example, if you're going to talk about daily routines, you can come in and start telling the students what you do during your day from the beginning, the things that you like to do from what time to what time, and get them involved in the topic. Some activities that I think I need to refresh. One of them that I can think of is like the third conditional. I think there's something difficult to explain, especially when students um, are new to this topic. Use some complicated instruction. For example, you have to use the third condition, which is if, and using have, would, and the par participio. I mean, you as a teacher, or I am as a teacher, I know how to use it, but it's difficult to explain to students. I mean, you can explain it, but students won't understand all the time. I think that's something that I need to keep on practicing in order to reach the students on a better way, or maybe try to find new ways to transmit the how to use that structure, because I think it's one of the most difficult things to explain to students. And as a teacher, sometimes it's difficult, not only because it's a hard structure, but because the students sometimes don't know how to use certain verbs and past participle. Uh, I think it's one of the most difficult things to teach, and I think as teachers we need to practice and keep on updating ourselves on that topic. Also, other activities that I think that are difficult for me is when you teach your students the past perfect. It's something that is confusing for some students. Some students get it, but as a teacher, I think it's something that is very difficult to use, especially when you try to teach the class 100% English. Uh, I think it's very important to keep on practicing the instruction also. Um, and some activities that I handle well, I think, is when I give students communicative activities. I think I get all the students involved during the class, and I try to give each students a turn so they can practice their whatever vocabulary or language we're using during the class. And since I teach private, I don't think it's very difficult for me, because the groups I have is sometimes I have four, sometimes I have six, uh, but no more than six or seven. And I think the type of students I have, they come here because they want to learn. So what they want to do is be able to express themselves. So since I've been practicing this type of classes, I think it comes for me very easy. I mean, it's not difficult to do it because uh, I try to engage all students and given the right vocabulary that we're gonna use during the class. Um, Other activities I think I can handle well is when I give the students feedback. I try to be positive never criticize the students, even though sometimes we do it automatically, like without thinking. If a student says something wrong, sometimes as teachers we tend to correct the student on the spot. And I think that's something that as a teacher we need to keep on trying to improve ourselves in order for not to hurt students' feelings or not to interrupt the students during their speech or while presenting something. I think the best way to do it is to let the students give their presentation and wait at the end of the presentation and given the right type of feedback, something that the students are going to take well and not criticize, and be sympathetic and put yourself in the student's shoes as you, for example, if I was a student, I think I wouldn't want my teachers to criticize me or be too hard on me because that will bring my self-esteem down, I think. So when it comes to language, I think it's very important to have empathy and not to criticize the students too hard. I think it's very important that when you give feedback, try to give the right type of feedback, not something that will hurt a student's feelings or maybe not wanting to come into your class again. Uh, Other activities that I can handle well, I think, is when students do something right. I think I'm pretty good on congratulating them and cheer them up and giving the right um, giving the right encouragement to for them to keep on going. Um, Other activities that I think I I handle well is my time. I think time management is very important. I try to plan my classes and try to do as much as I can within the sometimes is an hour class and try to accomplish as much as I can during that hour. Or when I give a 3 hour class, I think I think I can manage my time well and try to accomplish as much as I can. Mostly for the students so they can practice what they come to practice because to be honest, some students don't come here to do a lot of writing or grammar activities. What we do here is teach grammar within context, and I think that's something that I do very well. I never teach students grammar, well, at least not the conventional way. I teach the structures within context, and I think I do well teaching the students how to speak the language correctly. We do have activities that has to do with writing and reading, but we don't really teach grammatical points as for example, we don't tell our students, well, today we're going to practice the simple present, but we teach the simple present within the context. For example, if it's a text, it's going to be all in simple present, and students understand that. And they actually like because they like the activities because they're learning to communicate. They're not learning just the structure. They're learning the language as you learn the language when you're little. Um, I think when correcting the students, I think I do pretty well on that too. I try not to correct the students on a bad way. If they say something wrong, sometimes I write the words on the board, and and at the end of the activity, I try to tell him or explain to him or her why they did it wrong. Sometimes, depending on the activity, I correct the students on not on the spot. if they saying something, I let them saying, but I come back to them saying it the correct way. For example, if a student say, yesterday I go to the movies, I let him say the words or the sentence, and then at the end I say, so you went to the movies, and things like that. And I think students appreciate that. I think, and not to let them go without correcting them. But depending on the activity, if it's like a production activity at the end, for example, I let the students do their presentation, and then I do my notes on the board or on a piece of paper, and then at the end I come back and give them feedback in order for them to know where they went wrong, or if they did it right. I give them the right feedback and tell them this is what should do right and this is what should do wrong, and explain to them why they did it wrong and try to do it better next time. But when I do this, I try to do it in a manner that students won't feel offended, or won't feel like they won't feel like I'm being too hard on them. I try to be sympathetic and tell our students in a polite way. And I think that's something that I do very well. Give them feedback and make them feel that they are actually learning. And what we need to correct, uh, well, on the next class, or if we have time, we we do it the same day or the same hour. But most of the time is until the next class, where we come and review what they did or what I thought they did wrong, and try to do it better the next time. And those are some of the activities that I think I do well while teaching a class. And like I said, some of the things that I need to refresh, or I think to do better each time I do it, is while teaching the third conditional. But because, like I said, we don't teach them uh, grammar like the correctional way. It says you have to do if and then. No, we teach them the grammatical structure on a communicative way. Thank you very much.